New at 11 now. Possible health hazards in our area thanks to Superstorm Sandy. These pictures show the insides of damaged homes, untouched for more than a year and a half. As CBS 2's Hazel Sanchez explains, some neighbors are afraid the danger next door is seeping into their homes too.
We're called for what we have. It was destroyed, it was taken away, and now you have to deal with somebody else's garbage. It's just not fair.
Joy Zoller is a survivor. She beat cancer and survived the wrath of Superstorm Sandy. But she says the abandoned house next door to her Neponset Queens home is filled with mold and debris. Her doctors are ordering her to move.
It's toxic to me. It's affected my eye. My eye is always oozing. I'm back and forth to doctors. My lungs, I'm on inhaler.
The former owner of this dilapidated home abandoned it immediately after Superstorm Sandy, leaving everything behind. HSBC took over after it went into foreclosure. The Department of Health received complaints and asked the bank to clean the home up. HSBC told us they're looking into it, but these photos taken just last week show nothing has been done. The Calamia's blue house is literally inches away from the mess, and they say it's making them sick too.
My asthma has really gotten really bad since we moved back, and I have to use my steroids and my pumps every day.
The Zollers had an environmental company test the air quality. Results showed the total mold spore count was higher than normal outside the home, levels more than 20 times higher than the Zollers' property. Environmental science professor Gediminas Mainellis says more tests should be done, but
there are studies that have shown that sensitive individuals could be very sensitized and could be very sensitive when they are exposed to high concentrations of mold.
New York State Assemblyman Phil Goldfeder says dozens of foreclosed Sandy damaged homes are now health hazards. He's co-sponsoring legislation to penalize banks who neglect properties.
They'd have to clean it up or suffer sanctions or fines.
The Zollers live in this home right behind me. They have hired an attorney and say they're now looking for an apartment to rent until this home is finally cleaned up. In the Neponset section of Queens tonight, Hazel Sanchez, CBS 2 News.
All right, Hazel, thank you.
And black mold, water leaks, and drains that don't function. These are all concerns from people living in one Fairborn apartment complex.
And News Center 7's Mike Campbell, he joins us live in Fairborn. And Mike, you've spent the last few days looking into the complaints and talking with management as well as the city.
That's right, Gabrielle. Now, the Fairborn apartments are a huge community of residents and buildings right here in the middle of Fairborn. And, you know, it's not unusual to have tenants complain about their landlords, but it is much more rare to have a city have some of the same concerns and to have those residents invite you in to take a look at the concerns they have.
It looked like it was completely water damaged, and they just painted it, and it just bubbled.
Michaela Carpenter moved into this apartment a year ago. She's tried to use duct tape to hold plaster and paint in place without success.
I also reported it on the maintenance emergency line. They never contacted me back until the city had to get involved, and they wouldn't reach out to the city either. This is all the black mold.
Carpenter won't turn on her heat because she believes her basement also has mold and brings it straight up. Our photographer masked up and went to the basement, finding much the same look on the walls. Carpenter told us she became sick. She went to the doctor and then showed us medical records that indicated she was diagnosed with shortness of breath because of suspected exposure to mold.
We don't have a way to test mold, and we don't want to make a guess that it's black mold. But there are things growing on the walls there that we can't identify.
Rob Anderson is the Fairborn city manager. He tells me city inspectors spend lots of time in this complex. They've found suspected mold, and they've confirmed sewage in basements from inadequate drains. They've also discovered unsafe structures, condemning this building on Emerson and forcing evacuation from it. Michaela Carpenter showed us even more problems in her apartment.
This is my ceiling. That's been like this for 3 months now.
And she's not the only resident with concerns.
We moved in here. They told maintenance not to tell us that this building eventually will collapse, knowing that we have kids in this building.
LaToya Pate fears for her building's structural safety. And inside her apartment, she showed us a missing piece of pipe under the sink that means she can't use the water there. She claims maintenance has not acted on her requests for help. Hey, I'm Mike Campbell from Channel 7. We went to the management office where they wouldn't comment and referred us to a PR firm for what is a third-party management company. We asked the PR firm multiple questions. They told us the management company took over running the place only in April of this year. And since starting our contract in April 2022, Wallach has received 238 service requests as of October 1st, 2022. Of these, 129 are resolved and the remaining requests are in the process of being addressed. We cannot speak to service requests before this time as Wallach Communities was not working at Fairborn. Back live now. I just learned that city inspectors made another trip out here today and that Michaela Carpenter's apartment has now been condemned, forcing her to leave. I have reached out to the management company to see what they can do or are doing in terms of finding another apartment for her to move into. Now stay with us next hour because I'm working to bring you much more information about how this complex has been a big drain on City of Fairborn resources and what other organizations and groups should be stepping up to help out. For now, reporting live in Fairborn, Mike Campbell, News Center 7.
Good.
Keeping kids safe from their own home. That's what one little mother says she's trying to do after she found mold in her apartment.
And she says she's gotten a little help from her landlord and now she's turning to the I-Team. Sophie Bates on the case, asking apartment ownership to take accountability for this neighborhood nuisance.
Just days after giving birth to her second child, Kadora Solis's apartment flooded. And months later, she's still dealing with the repercussions. Kadora Solis's apartment at Highland Crest is home to her 8-year-old son, 3-month-old daughter, and several colonies of mold.
It was just disgusting. I can't even. It's just disgusting, and the smell, and just. Ugh.
Solis claims the mold showed up after her apartment flooded 3 months ago. She says at the time, apartment management cleaned her carpets and some of the mold, but it keeps coming back.
I just gave birth to a daughter and my son. They shouldn't live under these circumstances at all.
She says she's so worried for her children's health, she's been staying with friends and family.
Like my two youngest, they have not been here that often because of the mold. I'm trying to keep them safe. They can get sick from it. So I try not to keep them here that often.
Solis says she's asking management to put her in a new apartment, but says she hasn't gotten any help so far.
It's like they don't care, and it's not right.
That's why Solis called the I-Team, and I called her landlord.
I'm reaching out on behalf of one of the tenants.
I left a message and an email. In the meantime, Solis and her kids are waiting. I did get in contact with Highland Crest's attorney. He said he'd get back with me, but I am still waiting on that response. And if there's a nuisance in your neighborhood, you can reach out to me at the email below and I can try to help. Reporting for the I-Team, Sophie Bates, 13 Action News.
Welcome back. Some residents of the Bellevue apartment complex are moving out, breaking leases because of what they call poor living conditions.
6 News is on your side. Bella Caracta investigates those concerns.
Lauren, Jacqueline, I spoke with 5 different residents of Bellevue Hills apartments who say they have mold issues, and those issues, they say, left unaddressed are affecting their health physically and mentally.
I mean, the source of the problem is here, her home.
Alex Valdivia's 15-month-old daughter, Mia, has had a number of health issues.
I could never comfort her. I could never soothe her.
In her short life so far, Mia's had rashes, needed oxygen, and been taken to the hospital. In January, Valdivia asked the apartment complex to do a mold inspection. They declined, she says. So she tells us she paid an independent company $2,500 to test the unit. She showed 6 News those results from this May, indicating mold is present and remediation is required.
We just didn't know at that time that, she was breathing in toxic air, things that normal babies shouldn't be breathing in.
She went on to test her daughter's stool for any further insight into her health problems.
To link the connection together that these microtoxins and bacteria that are in the unit were also found in her stool and her urine.
Valdivia's lease ends in November, and she says she will not be signing a new one. She tells us the apartment complex did offer to let her leave the lease early if she signed a release indemnifying them of any fault and a confidentiality clause stopping her from talking to the media about this. She declined to sign. Another resident was given that option and took it. We spoke with her as she packed up her place, though she asked to stay anonymous.
Being constantly sick, kids waking up with cough, sore throat all year long, stomach aches, sleepless nights, being anxious. We tried everything just to stay out of the apartment. But at the end of the day, we still have to come home.
Here is a picture of what that resident believes is black mold, which she says took 3 months for the complex to address. 6 News reached out to the property manager on site. Sydney Humlick, the person who offered the lease release agreement, denied to comment.
We actually can't, so we can't provide any comments or anything like that.
I don't feel like for us to ask for these things is too much. I think it's very basic maintenance requests that should be taken care of.
On your side, Bella Caracta, 6 News.
6 News reached out to the apartment complex and the corporate headquarters in Austin, Texas. We have yet to hear back for comment.